Let your body settle now. Just let it go, all of it. The weight of your back pressing down into whatever is beneath you. Your shoulders feel how they want to climb up toward your ears. They don't need to do that. Let them fall. Let them go as low as they want to go. Your hands, where are they resting? Notice the warmth in them, the small heaviness. And your jaw, you might be holding it tighter than you realize. You don't need to. Your face doesn't need to do anything tonight. Your feet, the weight of the blanket, the warmth spreading slowly from the center of you outward. Breathe in slowly and out, just through the nose. Long and easy. You don't need to force it. The breath knows how to do this without you. And again, in and out. There is nothing you need to solve right now. Nothing to plan, nothing to track, nothing to remember. Simply let it go. You really can. It will all be there tomorrow. Tonight there is only this. And as you breathe, the room around you begins to soften, very gently, like the last light of a fire finding the edges of things. The sounds you know grow distant and quiet, and something else takes their place. You are in California, 1849, the Sierra Nevada foothills. The sun went down behind the western ridgeline an hour ago, and the sky above the canyon has turned from orange to deep blue to the first pinprick of stars. The pine trees are dark shapes against that sky. The creek is running just below. You can hear it from here, that low, steady voice of cold mountain water over smooth stone. You have been out here for 3 months. Tonight, everything is still. The creek is just ahead. You walk the last few yards down the bank, loose dirt and pine needles underfoot, the smell of damp earth rising as your boots press the ground. The water catches what little light remains in the sky and holds it for a moment before letting it go. This creek has a name, but mostly you just call it the creek. It runs out of the granite mountains to the east and cuts down through the canyon in long, shallow curves. Cold enough that your hands ache when you work the pan. Clear enough that you can see every pebble on the bottom 3 feet down. You stop at the bank. The water is moving. Just moving, nothing more than that. A low, continuous sound, like many quiet voices overlapping. The creek talking to itself. It never stops. It was here long before you arrived, and it will be here long after the gold is gone. A dipper's small, round bird bobs on a rock in the middle of the current. Bobs once, twice, then drops straight into the water and is gone, just like that. A moment later it surfaces further downstream, shakes itself once, and hops back up onto another rock as if nothing happened. The sound of the water fills the canyon. It comes from everywhere at once. Under it, very faintly, you can hear the sound of another man's camp somewhere further up the ridge. A sound of tin against stone, maybe, and then nothing. The canyon swallows sound like that, takes it and smooths it down. The sky above the eastern ridge is darkening fast. One star already, just one, very bright, directly above the tallest pine. In a few minutes there will be 100, then 1,000. You turn back toward your camp. It is not much. A canvas tent, low-pitched, staked between two ponderosa pines. The canvas has gone from white to a kind of brownish gray over the months, dust and rain and smoke. It breathes with the wind a little, not unpleasant. Your tools are stacked against the near pine. The long tom sluice frame heavy oak boards, iron riffles across the bottom. Your gold pan, scratched and dented from daily use. The pick, the shovel, all of it coated with a fine layer of the Sierra dust that gets into everything out here. Near the tent, a wooden crate you use as a table. On top of it, your tin cup, your water jug, your small tin of salt, a folded piece of oilcloth, 3 candles in a row, though you usually only light one. The ponderosa pines stand very tall above the camp. Their bark is reddish-orange in color, warm even in the dying light. And the smell of them, that vanilla butterscotch smell that comes out of their bark on warm afternoons, it is still faintly there, even now. You have come to love that smell. It means you are here and not somewhere else. A jay called once from somewhere in the canopy and then went quiet. The birds have all settled now. The evening belongs to something else, to the creek, to the pines, to the cooling air that comes down from the high granite every night after sunset. The temperature drops 20 degrees in an hour out here. You know this now. You learned it early. You build the fire. Simply no ceremony. You have done this every evening for months. A few handfuls of pine needles for the bed, small sticks broken to the same length, then larger ones crossed above. You carry the tinder box from the wooden crate. 1 strike, 2, the tinder catches. The flame is very small at first, orange and tentative. It leans with a breath of wind and then straightens again. You feed it slowly, more small sticks, then larger ones, until it settles into something real. Something that gives heat. You hold your hands toward it for a moment. The warmth reaches your palms and then the backs of your hands and works its way up your wrists. Fire in the mountains is different from fire in a hearth. It is more present, somehow. The darkness all around it is very dark. So the fire stands out, this one warm thing, and everything beyond its light is just shapes and shadows and the sound of the creek. The smell of wood smoke in pine country is one of the better smells you know. It catches in the still evening air and curls upward through the branches. The pines take it in. The smoke rises slowly until it disappears into the dark above. You add another log, a dry piece of oak you split yesterday, dense and slow burning. It catches with a soft crackle. The fire settles lower and steadier, throwing a wide circle of warm light. The tent glows faintly orange from outside. You set the pot on the fire. Beans and salt pork, same as most nights. You soaked the beans since morning, carried the pot of them down when you broke for the day. The salt pork goes in now, cut into small pieces, enough to season the whole thing. Salt from the tin, a handful of water from the creek jug. The pot settles over the coals on the iron trivet and you let it be. While you wait, you cut 2 pieces of hardtack from the canvas sack. Dense and dry, flour, water, salt, baked until it would last forever. You dip the edge of it into your tin cup of creek water, let it soften just slightly. It is not exciting. It is enough. The coffee pot goes on next to the bean pot. Dark roasted beans, ground rough that morning, boiled hard in the tin pot. You have learned to let it settle before you pour. The grounds sink on their own if you wait. The smell of coffee in cold mountain air is something no one warned you about. It is extraordinary. Just that. The beans are ready when the steam changes. You know this now, not by time, but by smell. They go from raw and starchy to something deeper, warmer. The salt pork rendering through them. You eat directly from the pot, sitting on the flat rock by the fire, your wool blanket around your shoulders already. It is a plain meal. Back home someone would call it poor. Out here it is everything hot food after a cold day in the creek, the fire near, the coffee strong and dark. You eat slowly. You let it warm you from the inside. Your hands curve around the tin cup and the heat moves through them. You look out beyond the camp. The canyon opens below into a wider valley. You can see the shape of it in the last of the sky's light. The dark hills on either side, the paler strip of the valley floor, the creek winding through it, catching the sky. Further on, where the valley bends south, there are other camps. 3 or 4 fires, very small, scattered across the dark. Thousands of men have come to this valley in the last year. Most of them are gone already, moved on up the river, or north to another claim, or back home with empty pockets. A few are still here, working the same gravel bars, panning the same cold water, watching the same sky every evening. You know a couple of them by name now. You pass most days without seeing anyone at all. The oak trees on the valley hillside are very still. Their silhouettes against the blue-gray sky, rounded, dark, like shapes pressed flat. Blue oaks, mostly. They go bare in winter. Right now, they still hold their leaves, and the leaves have turned in the last week, pale gold, dusty, almost silver in this light. An owl somewhere. Not close, maybe 200 yards up the canyon wall. One call, low and unhurried. Then silence. Then again, the same call, the same pause. The owl is in no hurry about anything. The air smells of pine resin and cold stone and wood smoke, and the very particular mineral smell of the creek in the evening. Clean and cold and old. Older than the gold. Older than the name this place has had for the last year. The canyon does not know what year it is and does not care. The sky is full now. You didn't notice it happen. You were looking at the fire, and when you looked up it was already full, every star in its place. The Milky Way spreading wide across the canyon from ridge to ridge. There is no other light anywhere, just the fire and the sky. You have not seen sky like this before, not before coming out here. Back east, there were rooftops and lamplight and the glow of industry, enough brightness to drown out most of the stars. Here there is nothing between you and the sky at all. It comes all the way down to the tree line, and it is simply enormous. You can see the dipper very clearly, pointing north, where it always points. And below it, low on the western ridge, a planet. Venus, you think, though you are not certain. Very bright. Very steady, unlike the stars which seem to flicker very slightly in the cold air. There is something that happens when you look at the sky long enough. The thoughts that were moving in you, the ones about how much gravel you moved today, about the claim further up the creek, about the letter you haven't written yet, they slow. They don't go away entirely, but they go. Quieter. The sky is simply too large for that kind of thinking. You let your eyes go soft. Let the individual stars blur into light and width and depth. Just the whole of it. The cold, indifferent, beautiful whole of it, from one ridge to the other, and the Milky Way sliding through the middle of all of it like smoke. You move toward the tent. The fire has burned low. You don't add to it. It can go to coals on its own overnight. You bank the edges of it with a little dirt, push the remaining wood in from the sides, let it settle. The glow of it dims to a deep orange pulse. It will hold some warmth until morning. The tent is low, you duck to enter. Inside, the smell of canvas and pine and the particular dry smell of your wool blanket, which has been rained on and dried in sun and rained on again for months. The oil lantern on the wooden board at the tent's peak. You light it with a match. A small yellow flame, just enough. Your bedroll is a wool blanket doubled over, spread on a canvas ground cloth. Not a feather bed, not even close. But the wool is good, real Mackinaw wool, thick and dense and warm even when damp. You bought it in Sacramento at more than you wanted to spend. You have not regretted it once. You pull off your boots, the left one first, always the left one, and set them near the tent pole. Your socks, damp from the creek, you hang over the pole to dry. Your coat goes on top of the blanket for extra weight, extra warmth. You lie down. The wool receives you. You can feel the ground through the canvas, not hard exactly, just present. The earth is right there. The lantern throws a small, warm light across the canvas ceiling. You watch it for a moment. The shadows of the tent fabric. The faint sound of the canvas breathing with the wind. The fire's glow is visible through the tent wall, just barely, just a faint orange warmth in the lower corner. The pines above are moving very slightly. You can hear the needles, a sound like a very slow, very soft rain. The creek. It is always there. That is the thing about it. In the daytime, working the gravel bar, you stop noticing it. It becomes part of the silence, part of the background, like your own breathing. But lying here now, in the dark, with everything else quiet, it comes forward. The creek is speaking. It has been speaking this whole time. It is not one sound. It is many sounds layered together, the lower run of it over the flat stone, and the higher sound where it drops over the small falls upstream, and the bubbling where it catches against the far bank root system. All of it happening at once, all of it moving from the same place to the same place. The mountain releases this water. It starts somewhere up in the granite, somewhere you have never been, as snow melt or spring seep, and it comes down through the canyon, picking up speed over the steeper sections, slowing in the deeper pools, gathering in the flats where you work your gold pan. And then it keeps going, down through the valley, down to the Sacramento River, down to the bay, out to sea. It carries your day with it. Everything you turned over, every shovelful, every pan load. The water takes the fine silt first, and then everything else downstream away. By morning, the gravel bar will look nearly unchanged. The creek will look exactly the same. The water will be entirely different water. You can feel your body beginning to go slow. The warmth of the wool, the sound of the creek, the low orange glow through the tent wall. Somewhere in the pines, the owl again, softer now, or further away, or maybe you are just going further from it. Just the creek now. The stars above the canyon. The wool, heavy and warm. Your breath going in. And out. Somewhere above the ridgeline, the dipper, still pointing north. The pine needles, very gently. The creek just below, always the creek. The fire, settling down to coals. You are already between here, and wherever the night takes you. Let it take you there. Everything is accounted for. The tent is good. The fire will hold. The creek knows exactly where it is going.